Honestly, it happened completely by accident. I had met Tim Palmer at a studio in Austin. Wayne Hussey invited me down and to hear the mixes that were happening for The Mission's Another Fall from Grace. So I got to meet Tim, who's always been one of my favorite producers, doing God's Own Medicine, Carved in Sand for The Mission, and Tin Machine, and Robert Plant, and T.S. Revere. Just always really thought he was one of the best producers out there. And we hit it off real well. After we had some drinks, I kind of got the courage to ask him if he would mix a song or two, because Wayne had already said he would sing, and sent him the tracks. And I sort of forgot to preface with my self-imposed no keyboards, and that I was only going to be the only guitar player on the record. So Tim sent back mixes of Man of Faith and The Long Goodbye, and he added both keyboards and some really nice little guitar bits on it. And there was no way I was going to tell Tim Palmer, hey, can you, mix is great, delete those parts you did. So just simply by accident, when I heard it, it just kind of struck me, maybe there's a remix record in here, and it just kind of grew and expanded from there. So I'm giving Tim pretty much the credit for making this happen.
As someone who usually writes and performs all my own work, it's always a different experience for me to be given the recorded music and, you know, asked to write the lyrics and vocal melodies on top of it. I think one advantage of this process was that I possibly gave the lyrics and vocals a little extra attention, something I've hopefully carried back into everything else I do. Not only is Michael a dear friend, a fabulous human, and a creative musician, I think he's also respectful of my contributions to Beauty and Chaos, and of my time and other projects I'm involved in. So yes, I would certainly work with Michael again, especially with the added brilliance of Mr. Michael Rozon producing. Another incentive is that Michael Ciravolo has been known to wear a skirt in some of our videos, and he does look good in a skirt. I feel that the songs Michael and I have created for Beauty and Chaos are among my favorite songs I've ever written. With Beauty Re-envisioned, I had the opportunity to completely reimagine Storm, which was the first song we wrote together for the debut album, and is probably still my favorite. The new version is vastly different to the original in that I re-recorded Storm acoustic from scratch, with a more intimate, dare I say melancholy, performance, both musically and vocally. Another difference is that I played all the instruments on this version and then sent my final mix to Michael to add some magical guitar overdubs to complete the picture, which he did wonderfully as usual, and I think the result is something quite special.
Destinations of the fallen away. You saw heaven where the children played. As I trace the steps I used to know, I am broken by the letting go. A million times.
So you probably already know the story of this. The genesis of the Beauty-Envisioned album was sort of a mistake that I made. Well, it wasn't really a mistake, but basically Michael had come to visit when I was mixing the Mission album, and we hung out for a couple of days, and at the end of the session we all went out for a nice Mexican meal, a few margaritas, all that stuff, and Michael asked whether I would consider doing a couple of mixes for his album. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And we set it all up, and I went ahead and mixed Man of Faith. And often in today's environment, I find that at the mix stage, you need to maybe add an extra couple of elements just to get the vision that you hear. So I threw on a couple of new little guitar ideas, and I think a keyboard. And basically Michael said he had really liked it, but he had made a plan in his head that he was not going to use keyboards on the album, and also he wanted to be the sole guitar player. So I'd sort of broken the rules. I'd transgressed the unwritten law, as they say, and he came up with the idea of making a remix album based on that mistake. So I ended up mixing 3 songs: Man of Faith, The Long Goodbye and Storm, all which will appear on the Beauty Re-envisioned album. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was nice to work with Michael because he's open-minded and he lets me do my thing, and the project ended up sounding really cool, and I'm glad that ultimately this small misunderstanding turned into something that's special.
You know, being so close to finding beauty in chaos, it was refreshing and terrifying in the same. Kind of handing the keys of the car over to, you know, producers, artists, DJs, and everything, just to kind of, you know, have their way with the tracks. But as I got into it and hearing what people did and kind of how they took the songs and what they heard, was actually really cool to hear. And you know, I think we got a pretty diverse record. I mean, 25 tracks is a big listen. And, you know, I've always been a fan of remix records, but usually it's sort of aimed at, like, dance club stuff. And we certainly have a couple of those on this record, but it's really diverse. There's some really ambient stuff. There's an acoustic, actually 2 acoustic versions. So I think there's something for everyone on this record. And, you know, I think it's similar and different in the same to Finding Beauty in Chaos.
First of all, let me say I am super honored to be part of Beauty in Chaos. I watched my husband go through this process of putting together this project, and I just watched this mountain that he climbed. That was something that was really deep inside of his soul that he wanted to get out and do, and I've watched him wanted to do it for many years. You know, we've been together for 26 years, and to finally watch him accomplish this piece of art, I have to say, completely blew me away about how amazing it was. And then I saw him get all of these really great people involved, and as his wife, I didn't want people to think that I was involved just because I was his wife, so I really wanted to show up and, you know, like a girl's gotta like sign up and do the best job she can in that situation. And because of this music that he wrote, both him and Michael Rozon together, it just brought out the songwriting in me to actually tell our story about our life. You know, I wrote the song called Look Up that's on the album, and I talk about, you know, come with me and let's live this life, and this will be our history, because we've had history together. In other words, I don't think anybody else could have written those kind of words and that kind of song, because they don't have that history that we have, and they haven't lived that life yet. And I saw that life 26 years ago, and I was thinking about that then, and it was so great 26 years later to be inspired by this piece of art that he did, to be able to tell that story. And so I know, because I am a contributor to Beauty and Chaos in the very first one, and then with the remixes in the next one, hopefully, that I've evolved as a songwriter, because I'm simply working with some of the best people in songwriting and the music with Beauty and Chaos that I ever have before.
When Michael approached me about doing a remix for his project Beauty and Chaos, I was excited about it, and then I found out that the track Drifting Away with Robin Zander singing lead vocals was available to do, and then I got really excited about it. Because I think Zander was pretty much my favorite singer in popular music, always has been. Cheap Trick were one of my favorite bands of all time, so that was, you know, that was kind of that was a big deal, and realizing your life comes full circle, you know, from being a kid and listening to them, and then having, you know, his isolated tracks. It was exciting, and I took the approach where, like, I was always a fan of the 80s Cheap Trick as well, like All Shook Up and One on One in those records, so I totally wanted to kind of take that vibe with what Michael was doing, and I think it came close. I didn't even know Michael Anthony played on the track until after I completed it, because stems just said Michael, and I just figured it was, you know, Michael Ciravolo. So once I found out that was also a component, you know, Michael Anthony from Van Halen was on the track, you know, it felt really good and gratifying, and you know, I think I tried to do it justice and take a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, put it in a blender, make it something, you know, current and now.
Finding beauty in chaos, taking solace in the words we learned.
I tend to not be so much of a dance music person, so the remix tracks that were done that were really kind of pared down and minimalized, like Kevin Haskins' remix of Finding Beauty in Chaos, I thought was wonderful. Very simplified version, very pure sounding. I tend to enjoy that kind of thing.
But we remain.
It's hard to articulate what music is and what it means to the listener and to the musicians composing and writing. And the thing about inspiration, or that spine-tingling moment when you connect completely with a piece of art, a piece of music, or with somebody you meet, it changes everything. That's why we pursue music. This is why we continue to pursue the art. It's a constant journey forward. And the first thing that came to mind was a great French producer, Kavinsky, who wrote Night Call from the film Drive, which we loved. There's such an evocative power in that. I'm not a highly skilled producer, but I do write. So Stephen and I worked on this together to create the remix of I Will Follow, and we hope everybody enjoys it, of course. I'm working on these projects remotely from the UK, which is great. I get files, I send files back, but I wish that I could be with the guys, obviously. The energy of people in a room together, just bouncing ideas, and the opportunity to share another album with Michael and Tish with Wayne, Simon, Al and Ice-T is, you know, it's on another kind of spectrum really, so it's pretty cool. And I feel really honoured that I Will Follow was chosen by Michael and John Fryer to remix, as well as my own remix that Stephen and I worked on together. We hope everybody enjoys the album, all the hard work and love that's put into it. The response so far has been really positive, so we want to thank everybody, and you, Ryan, of course, but for everybody out there supporting the record and musicians, so we can stay alive and carry on making music.
You know, not always in life does something turn out exactly what you envisioned it to be, and kind of once I had the name Beauty in Chaos, there was a photo some friends of ours that took of an abandoned building. That was sort of a hobby of theirs, and something about that just struck me as the chaos. And then I think we always look at our two daughters, Nicole and Sophia, as being the beauty in our life. And once we were able to morph that photo together, it was perfect. It was exactly what the cover was supposed to be to me. And I think of everything, of every accolade that, you know, Gothic supergroup and whatever anybody says, and I appreciate every word about the music, still looking at the cover is something I'll always, you know, cherish.
Watching my husband's dream come true in that moment, and knowing that that was what his final vision was, and having our daughters involved with anything in his life makes him so happy. So I was really glad that they signed up and did it, and we were able to capture that moment for him, really.
And they could clap on beat too.
The original songs on the first record we did, I think, came out amazing. Incredibly cohesive sound, considering the diversity of artists involved. Remixes are definitely a reinterpretation of the original thing, original work of art, and you know, in certain cases they can be quite exceptional and much better than the original pieces in certain cases. I think with these two records, they're just two different things. You know, not one better or worse than the other. They're both very good things.
I love this song, and when Michael said we were going to make a video of it, I was very excited. And then when he told me that he was getting Ice-T and Zakk Wylde on it, was even a plus, period. Doing the video was a lot of fun, standing in the rain and getting all wet, and it was interesting, it was different, and I chalk it up to a great experience. Zakk did an unbelievable lead, and Ice-T even put the words of body count in his rap section, which I thought was great. Anyway, I love this video. I think it brought to light all that's happened, or the things that have happened down there in New Orleans and in Texas. I'm very proud to be a part of this.
What's going on, gang? This is Zakk Wylde. And when I was asked by Beauty in Chaos to join them on their powerhouse track, Unnatural Disaster, it reminded me a lot of my face, which is a natural disaster. So of course I said yes, because it was a perfect fit.
I sit and watch as they fade away. Families left homeless, screams and cries. Harvey comes, people lose their lives. Hell from the heavens as the body count grows. Watch news at 11 for the final death toll. This ain't just rain, this shit's insane. The clouds have opened for days and days. The city streets are a liquid maze. I sit and watch as they fade away. Families left homeless, screams and cries. Harvey comes, people lose their lives. Hell from the heavens as the body count grows. Watch news at 11 for the final death toll. This ain't just rain, this shit's insane. The clouds have opened for days and days.
Well, for Finding Beauty in Chaos, the ultimate goal and concept of that record was to create orchestrated textures, but again with my self-imposed rule of no keyboards. So, along with my producer and cohort in Beauty in Chaos, we got a lot of orchestrated and synth-like textures by using various guitar pedals, E-bows, actually a real violin bow, just anything we can do to manipulate the guitar to give it that orchestral texture. But when the keys of the car was handed over to everyone for Beauty and Re-envisioned, they were able to use synthesizers, pianos, different things that way to take the song in whatever direction they felt. So, you know, I think both are interesting in kind of a different way of going about it, but I still can listen back to Finding Beauty in Chaos and really happy that we were able to accomplish and create the textures and soundscapes we did without actually pressing a key on the keyboard. So happy there.
Perhaps. There's been some wonderful producers who actually don't play any instruments, and I think that gives them a different perspective. You know, they're looking at things different. Having the ability to play a couple of instruments definitely helps out, because you hear an idea and you're able to sit down and actually execute it and play it, and you know, let the person actually hear it in real time and see how it works out with the rest of the music. So I think having the ability to play a couple of instruments is really helpful.
Well, on Beauty and Chaos, I played bass on 2 songs, the I Will Follow You and The Long Goodbye, of course, Wayne Hussey. And then I sang on Look Up, but I didn't play bass on Look Up. So I think that my talents went to a couple of different songs in different ways. But predominantly I've always been a bass player. I'm a bass player first and foremost, and then I love to sing, and I have a very unique voice. So I'm glad everybody's enjoying the song.
Something precious, something rare to all to lose. Was it always built on sand? And with every tide it washed away. I only need you now, now that you're not here anymore.
Well, once this whole ball started rolling, it was really the different producers and artists that sort of went through Finding Beauty in Chaos and picked the tracks that they wanted to remix. You know, yeah, some songs, Look Up, 20th Century Boy, you know, to name two of them, do have multiple versions, but that really wasn't something I set out to do. And honestly, I didn't set out for it to grow to 25 tracks. I just, a lot of people and friends came forward and were willing to put the time and effort into creating. But how they differ, you know, that kind of goes down to each track, you know. I mean, we have Marc Thwaite did a pretty four on the floor dance club version of 20th Century Boy, and then we went back in and recut a version that's very glam, traditional version of it also. Look Up is across the board stylistically, and again, it was just how each person that was doing the remix, you know, took it how they heard it in their head. It wasn't something like I sent it out telling someone you need to remix this song. I left that completely open to everyone that was willing to work on it. And I think, again, we got a really good cross-section of songs and styles, so it's not just a typical remix record.
Friends say it's fun, friends say it's good. Everybody says it's like rock and
I think it's the original track that Evi Vine sang on. I think it was one of the best tracks on the album. The vocal performance off the hook was amazing, intimate, beautiful. It was also a song that would allow for a lot of like harmonic restructuring, so I was able to change the chords up, kind of turn it into something else. It's just the whole tone and the nature of the song. I was just kind of in love with the whole thing. So it was a pleasure for me to be able to remix that one and play around with it and do something fresh with it.
When Michael came to me about Beauty in Chaos, it was kind of perfect timing. I just started kind of getting out playing music again, and Monday nights at the Viper Room with Tommy Black from Zakk Wylde's band would get me up to kind of sing, and we started doing 20th Century Boy, and it was just kind of a perfect and a great situation when I got the text from Michael asking me to sing the song. At first I kind of thought, hey, here we go, another T-Rex song. I've always tried to be my own artist, but I had a chance to hear the project and I thought it'd be a great twist. It's always nice combining with new people, and also hearing their rendition of the song made me feel positive that we were going to bring something cool to the element. When I got to the studio, everything kind of fell in place. My vocals fit in, and I think we really brought something with a new energy and a great feeling, but also giving respect to the craftsmanship of the original song as well. You know, my father gave so much influence on so many people, and at times it's hard for me to realize what that really means. But now, here we are this many years later, introducing the music to new people. It's very special and it's exciting. I look forward to hearing what everyone thinks about the project. And thank you. I'm Rolan Bolan.
It's plain to see
was a kid, the first musician that inspired me to pick up a guitar in the first place, to want to be a musician myself, was Marc Bolan and T-Rex in his band T-Rex. And so when Michael told me that he was working on a new version of the 20th Century Boy with Rolan Bolan, Marc's son, I begged him to involve me, let me be involved too, and so then he sent me the track, and I did some backing vocals, played a little bit of guitar on it. So, you know, I can say now that I'm on a song on a record with the Bolan. So that's one off the bucket list for me.
Yeah, I can kind of go back to sitting in my parents' kitchen watching TV, and it was either Midnight Special or In Concert, or one of those late night shows that was so influential to the young me, and seeing Marc Bolan doing Bang a Gong and then 20th Century Boy and Jeepster and those songs, and you know, it was, I look at Marc Bolan as a big influence on me, and to me 20th Century Boy is one of the all-time great rock and roll guitar riffs, and having a chance to work with his son is pretty surreal, and that's a word I seem to use quite a bit with Beauty and Chaos, but there are things that I look back and it's like, shit, I can't believe that happened, you know, putting Wayne Hussey and Simon Gallup together, having, you know, Al Jourgensen on a song, which was Tish and I's our first overnight date with seeing Ministry. So there's a lot of things that just, you know, you kind of want to like slap yourself and go, is this real? You know, and sitting in the studio with Marc's son and hearing him sing his dad's song was really cool. And then Wayne Hussey, who's become a really good friend, I think had similar feeling with that. You know, reading his book, he goes into pretty great detail how watching Marc Bolan made him decide that he didn't want to be a soccer player and he wanted to play guitar, and he was pretty adamant about being part of this, and he added some great vocals to it and also played guitar on it. And you know, I used to sit and listen to the Mission records, and Wayne's one of my favorite guitar players, and getting to play guitar on that same track with him was, you know, another thing off the bucket list, and really happy with that version. I do love what we did with the song on Finding Beauty in Chaos. I think it's, you know, it's Ministry all over it, you know, which was a big influence to me. But this was kind of a cool nod to the original. It's glammy, but it also has like some New Orleans style piano in it, so I think people are going to be really surprised by that version, and I think Roland did a fantastic job on it. You know, kind of singing it, I can't even imagine like singing one of your father's songs. Must be pretty cool, and glad that we got to put that together.
Calling yourself a man of faith. a man of faith, a man of faith. You're a man of faith.
Every kiss with you felt like the first, when innocence was just a word, and not something precious, something red to roll to lose. So was it always built on the sand, and with every tide it washed away? I only need you now, now that you're not here anymore, anymore. I'm dying every time I think of you, the long goodbye. Rain in the morning leaves me blue. Low cloud on the hills obscures my view. I only need you now, now that you're not here anymore, anymore. I'm dying every time I think of you, forevermore, the vow we swore. I'm crying every time I think of you, the long goodbye. We can never hold on to dust on the wild wind. Swallow the tongue that speaks too many lies. Too many lies. Too many lies. Oh, I'm dying every time I think of you. Forevermore. Crying every time I think of you.